Hi, my friends. We're going to talk about the new moon in the sign of Gemini, and it is on Monday. It's Memorial Day here in the US on May 26th. It's at 6 degrees of Gemini. Now, if you love working with that lunar gestation cycle, you can look back 3 years to May 30th, 2022, and see what was initiated then, because this new moon is in the same place. But let's get started. I'm going to share the screen with you so you have the chart to look at while I chit chat and just tell you all about it. And there it is. I'll take just a second for it to show up. There we go. So here we are, new moon, May 26th. It is late in the evening, so it's at 11 p.m. right there at 6 degrees of Gemini. Mercury's coming in, and we have Mercury and Pluto making a trine with each other. So I am going to talk about that. But let's get started with what this new moon is all about. So as we know, every new moon brings a fresh start. This one's great for a fresh mental start. Who doesn't need that right now? So, of course, Gemini, known as the twins, all about communication, all about curiosity and connection. So when it comes to working with this Gemini moon, we are looking at speaking up for ourselves, asking questions that we need to ask, right? As well as exploring options in our lives. These are things that are general energy of what that Gemini is about. So I want you to make sure that you start to process that. Give yourself permission to explore and to be curious and to communicate and connect in places that you haven't in a long time. And it's also okay to give yourself permission to change your mind about things, because Gemini, its superpower, if you will, is, constantly saying, oh, I like that. That makes sense. And then somebody else talks to you and you say, oh, I understand what that is too. Um, Astrologers as astrologers sometimes always say that Libra is the zodiac sign that's kind of on the fence of things, and that can be true. But Gemini holds a really close second to that, in the fact that if you give me information here and I hear it here, and I can see the truth and the validity in either way. So that's why in either opinion or perspective. And that's just the lovely piece of what one of the ways that we can use variety, because use Gemini, because that's the word I'm about to say, because Gemini likes variety and it wants to have space to discover more. So, not always easy for committing. There are other things in our astrology charts that will help us to feel committed. But today we're talking about the energy of this new moon in Gemini, that information highway, the twins. Let's get information in here. Let's process. Let's have fun with it. We don't want to go too deep, not with just the new moon, but we have a Pluto transit coming up too. We'll get into that in a little further into this forecast. So, energy of Gemini. If you guys have been following me a while, sometimes I talk too fast. I'm trying to talk slower. But the Gemini energy is fast moving, and its mental capacity is fast and quick. The planet that rules Gemini is Mercury, and so we're going to talk about him in just a minute. But this new moon in Gemini isn't necessarily very deep. It's not really meant for that deep emotional healing or slowing down. Instead, what Gemini energy is about is noticing the way that you think or speak or gather information, how you process things in those conversations that you have with others, right? That is the Gemini qualities that we can all embody and set goals and intentions, especially if you work with new moon rituals. Set intentions around these types of things, around learning something new, around being more flexible and mutable and changeable if you can, and just in what you're thinking. This is going to be and is, and we have to capitalize on these energies that are present. This gives us an opportunity to have an open mind a little bit more than where we've been up to now. I don't know what the time frame is because everybody has different things going on in their own personal lives. So this Gemini new moon is wonderful for giving us that opportunity to open up to something fresh and new because it wants us to open our mind to think things. And the Gemini energy is that it's mutable air. It's not like Aquarius, which can be very fixed and set in its way when it thinks about something. Today, that Gemini new moon gives us those opportunities to think things through, at the very least, with your new moon rituals, your new intentions, is just to be open to new ideas, be open to new socializing, new groups, just things like that, so you can just experience fresh and new. And it's just like, I always use food analogies if you know me well, and it's like going to a buffet that has a lot to choose from, as opposed to a buffet that's just pizza. And there's a few things to choose from in pizza, but this is like a buffet that's got all kinds of things. That's Gemini. Gemini wants, um, we want us to be open to lots of new thoughts, processes, and ideas, even if it's just to process it and journal and write it down and say, yeah, no, that's not for me. Good for you. You've processed something. You've opened your mind to something. That's what we want you to do. That's what I say we, but I'm a Gemini, so I will say we, but that's what this new moon in Gemini is asking us to do. So, let me grab some notes, and you can't see them. I'll grab them here. The thought-provoking questions maybe you can bring up. So some reflection, so you can journal, or a little launching place for thinking about what you want your new moon rituals to be. So here's one. It's like, what have you always wanted to dig into? Like, what have you always wanted to explore? So, 'cause Gemini has a lot of curiosity. So, can you write that down? It's like, I've always wanted to, and fill in the blank. And so now I'm going to at least initiate digging into that. Your curiosity, allow the curiosity to be open. Gemini will love that. Is there a conversation you've been waiting or avoiding? Are you ready to do that now? And even if it's not a conversation, I want you to say are, or can you at least journal things out? Because sometimes when we have something to say to somebody and we don't have the courage, or the situation doesn't allow us to say or have a conversation because it's too whatever, confrontational, or just can't happen, I want you can journal. So start processing that way. And then, is there any, or are there, I don't know which, if it's is or are there any outdated processes or thought patterns that you want to rewrite? Journaling is fabulous for Geminis. Write down these things and process it through your writing, through your journaling. And then, where can I be more flexible in my daily life? I want to play, I want to have fun, I want to do all of these things. So that is just really, really important for you. Okay. So I want you to consider all of those things. Now, Gemini can be scattered. It's like the butterfly, but who doesn't love a butterfly, right? You just watch them just flit around and land and flit around and land. You can't always get pictures of them. I try. It's like a Gemini sneaking up on a Gemini. It's just funny. It's not going to happen. Uh, but the energy can feel, especially for anybody who just has no Gemini in their chart. And you can ask me if you do or not by just emailing, asking me about these things. But even if Gemini just isn't one of your favorite energies, because somebody you knew who was a Gemini just was not a good person to you, or you have history, but I just want you to consider that Gemini can be fun and playful, and just gives us a lot of that um, curiosity in life. So I want you to remember that, even if you have like an aversion. I have a zodiac sign I have an aversion to, and I will never tell you. And it's not just the sun, it's not just sun sign. There's just something about a certain zodiac sign that I have to assimilate and process in my own life because I have an aversion to it. So I know that there is something within me that needs to be processed and worked on and healed. It's not Gemini because I am one. But if you feel that way about Gemini, because I know many people are like, oh my God, Gemini, Jesus, they're just blah, blah, blah. I don't want you to, I want you to maybe let go of that a little bit so you can have the curiosity to process and think things through and play and have fun. Just use it for you. Okay? Journal, journal, journal. Now, with this aspect, with this new moon, we also have, here's Mercury. It's just the next day. I didn't create a second chart for it because it's just close enough. But the next day at 2 in the afternoon Eastern time is the exact aspect between what we have here, Mercury in Gemini and Pluto in Aquarius. It's a trine, an air trine. If you have anything around 3 degrees of Libra, then there's a grand trine being activated in your chart. But in the meantime, let's come back to Mercury is in Gemini. It's going to be a few days, and Mercury will make its conjunction to the sun. It does that a number of times every year. Was it 4 to 6 times a year? I cannot remember. It does that quite a few times every year. And so Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. So it's good to talk about the zodiac, the planet in charge of the zodiac sign that this new moon is. And it just happens to be in Gemini right now. It's not going to be too far from Gemini anyways, because that's where the sun is. But in the meantime, I want you to think about this. Let's talk about Mercury in Gemini, air sign, trine Pluto in Aquarius, air sign. And this will add some depth to the Gemini energy that I just said was like all over the place, like the butterfly, like all the choices. Sometimes there's too many, we need to narrow it down. When Mercury and Pluto are connected like this, and it goes really fast, so we'll feel it the day of the new moon and the next day, and that's really it. But it's an opportunity for us to go just a little bit deeper than what plain old Gemini does. And this is where we always add layers, and where some people think astrology is confusing because now we're adding another layer. And I promise you I am. So if this gets too astrology heady for you, I'm going to make it simple right now. Because when we have something else going on, like we have going on between Mercury and Pluto while we have a new moon, this is real motivation for us to take steps deeper than what Gemini typically does. So it's a great time to explore a subject that you've been curious about for a long time and go a little bit deeper with it. Okay? Explore curiosity, Gemini. Go deeper, Mercury trine Pluto. All right? You have an opportunity to do that. We have an opportunity with this Mercury trine Pluto as well to uncover hidden truths, hidden secrets, things, and it just gives us some clarity. So the journaling is just so important. And even sometimes I like to do meditations and just invite people in, not real people, not physical people, but in a meditation if I want to have something, if I want to deal with somebody about something that I think I want to do it on a soul level to begin with, Pluto, I'll invite people, their higher self, my higher self, into a meditation and go through a process there. I know that's a bit woo-woo, but I do that. I thought I'd share. Okay. What else? We can also find an opportunity, or there will be opportunities as we get closer and closer to this new moon and Mercury trine Pluto, that there might be some very powerful communication that goes on, especially over the weekend. Again, I know this isn't the truth for everybody, but here in the US, when having Memorial Day, we tend to have, it's Monday off. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So it's always a 3-day weekend. People tend to take a couple days on either side. We have a lot of opportunity to get away from the rat race of everyday life, and we tend to get more relaxed, and we can have some of the deeper conversations that we need to have. Yeah, sometimes it just takes a little while with the rat race of everyday life. I say rat race, but just the busyness of family life and work and family life is just overwhelming sometimes. And when we have more than just 2 little days off after working our butts off all week and doing all the things that we do, having a little bit longer time off it gives us a chance to relax just a little bit, and it coincides with a national holiday here, and that can give you, some of us, an opportunity to dig in deeper in that powerful communication connection that we have between the ruler of this new moon, Mercury in Gemini, trining that Pluto in Aquarius. All right. There's more on the blog. I have the blog posted. Please come and join my website. It doesn't cost anything to join the website. You just get notifications of things before anybody else does, especially when I post blogs and things like that. There's nothing there. And if you'd love to support my work, I would love donations because things are getting pretty tight the way the world is these days. So I would love you to come and join me over in Patreon. We have weekly and monthly forecasting at tier 3, tier 4. You're welcome to come and join us there. And in summary, and I would love that, and I would appreciate that support because it is absolutely necessary at this point in time for you, if you love what you see, and to support your creators. And that's one way you can do that for me. And I thank you. Patreon gets this first, so you guys already have thanks. You already have supported me, and I thank you. In a summary, stay curious and don't commit to a big single outcome. Write down your thoughts, your ideas, your conversations. All of that matters. Oh, I can stop the share. Excuse me. All of that matters. Follow your interests, even if they don't make sense yet, because Gemini is an air sign. Air sign is intuitive. Follow what you hear and what you feel. Boom, go with that. Speak your truth. Stay open to hearing somebody else's truth as well. And with that Mercury and that Pluto connection, that does give some gravity to the words that we are speaking and the connections that we're making right now, and especially during this new moon. And I want you to pay attention to that. All right. So the twins have the mic. So what do you say? Tell me below. Blessings, everybody. Thank you for your support once again. Namaste.